Hi guys, today we are going to cover our last section in Unit 7, and it is called Fractions of a Set. So a set, today we're going to talk about fractions of a set, which is what I just said. So today you're going to need something to use extra for math, that you're going to use it as counters. So you're going to gather 20 of something. So whether that's Legos, Shopkins, pennies, pieces from a game. If you don't have anything, you can just take paper and cut it into small pieces. This is just going to be for you to have a manipulative that you can kind of separate into groups, kind of like we do when we divide. So having groups of things. So pause the video and go gather 20 of something right now. Okay, so let's start with our mental math. You can use those counters that you gathered to do your mental math as well today. So we're going to start with this first problem, which says write the number of pennies that each person would have. And there's 3 different situations. So first, you're going to share 6 pennies between 2 people. Then you're going to share 6 pennies between 3 people. And then 6 pennies between 1 person. And you're figuring how many pennies does each person have. So you take your 6 pennies, and the 2 tells me that I need 2 groups. So if I divided my pennies equally into 2 groups, then how many pennies would each group have? So I can see when you're splitting into 2, it's kind of easy to see half. So each person would get 3 pennies. And I can think of this as division. All I did is I took 6 and I divided it by 2 to figure out how many pennies each person would get. All right, so you're gonna do that same thing with the second one. So you have 6 pennies still, but this time you have 3 people. So if you're using your manipulatives, take your pennies and you're gonna split them into 3 groups. And if you did that, you split them up into 3 groups, you should have had 2 pennies per group. And this is, if you were looking at the previous problem, if you knew the answer to the previous problem was 3, this was just the opposite. So we just took 6 and divided it by 3 to get 2, instead of 6 dividing by 2 to get 3. Those are in the same fact family. All right, and then 6 pennies among 1 person. So I have my 6 pennies again. This time I have 1 person, which tells me I have 1 group. So my 1 person would get all 6 pennies. Good, let's try this again with the number 12. So we're doing the exact same work, but we're gonna think about, instead of having 6, we're going to have 12. So take a minute, pause the video if you need some more time, and solve these 3 problems. Share 12 pennies between 2 people, 3 people, and 6 people. I'm going to go ahead and start working through it, so pause the video if you need some time. Okay, so you can draw your 12 pennies, and I just did 2 rows of 6 to make it a little bit shorter. You can think of your sharing, it tells me I'm dividing, and I'm dividing it into 2 groups. So that tells me my number model is 12 divided by 2. So if I split this into 2 groups, I know that's 2 groups of 6, because 6 plus 6 is 12. So if I divide it that way, each person would get 6 pennies. Now I have the same amount of pennies, still my 12. I think that's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Nope, too many. Okay, so there I have my 12 pennies, and this time I'm dividing it into 3 groups. If you know your math facts, you probably already know the answer to that. So we have 1, 2, 3 groups. That's why it's really important to remember our math facts so that we can do these problems easily. So we have 4 pennies per person when we have 3 people. Now, if we have 6 people, I need to figure out how many pennies each person would get. So this time I'm taking 12 and I'm dividing it by 6. Now I can refer back to my first problem because I remember I did this number model up here. So all I should do is switch my numbers. So I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people would each get 2 pennies. All right, here's our math message. Jules has a stamp collection with 12 stamps. She puts half of her stamps on one page and the other half on another page. How many stamps are on each page? You may use counters or drawings to help you. Okay, remember yesterday when we did story problems with fractions, we talked about using cubes. We still need to use cubes and think about what's the information that I already know and what am I trying to figure out. So I'm trying to figure out how many stamps are on each page. I know that there are 12 stamps in all, and I know based on this information, half of our stamps are on one page. I'm going to kind of box this right here because it's important, and half are on another page. So when I read that, I learn that how many pages are there? It doesn't tell me how many pages are. It doesn't say there are blank number of pages, but I can infer that there are 2 pages because it says half are on one page and half are on another page. So that tells me there's 2 pages altogether. Okay, so I have 12 stamps. I put half of them on one page, half on the other page. How many stamps are on each page? Well, I know there's going to be an even number per page because it's half and half. So I just need to think of what's half of 12. And when I find half of something, I just divide it by 2. So half of 12 is 6. So there are 6 stamps per page. Very good. If ever I'm moving too fast, please pause. Okay, let's talk about, we're going to talk about fractions of a set today. And so here's some words we need to think about. Sometimes the whole is a collection. So what I mean is, instead of the whole being a circle or the whole being a line, sometimes the whole is a group of something. So sometimes the whole could be 6 cookies. Sometimes the whole could be 4 granola bars. I don't know. The whole doesn't have to just be one thing. Sometimes the whole is a group of things. And today we're going to talk about when the whole is a group of things, what do we do? So we call this fractions of a set, because set means group. So we're finding fractions of a group. All right, so let's practice. Okay, so we'll start off with some easy questions. So what fraction of the set is purple? So our whole right now is this group. Okay, so our whole is 4. Now we want to figure out what fraction of the group is purple. So I need to figure out how many are in the group. The total in the group is the first thing I need to think about. And this is going to become my bottom number. So there are 4 in the group. Okay? Now, how many of them are purple? That's the question. So that's going to be my numerator for the first answer. So 1 out of 4 are purple. So 1/4 of the set is purple. Now I do the same thing with blue because, well, it says not purple, so that would be all of the other 3 are not purple. So if 1/4 is purple, then how many fourths are not purple? Well, if I'm at 1/4, how many more fourths does it take to get to the whole? 3 more, right? Because 3 plus 1 is 4. So 3/4 are not purple. We just found fractions of a set. Let's try again. What fraction of the cars are red and what fraction of the cars are green? So what is the first thing I told you that you needed to figure out? Do you remember? It was the total number of items. Okay? And that's going to be our denominator. So if you count the cars, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars altogether. So we know our denominator for both problems is going to be 8. Now, the first question is, what fraction of the cars are red? So how many red cars are there? 0. You're right. So 0/8 of the cars are red. How many of the cars are green? All of them, which is 8. So 8/8 of the cars are red. Perfect. All right, let's try another one like that. So which fraction of the set are raspberries and what fraction of the set are oranges? So for this, the set includes all of the fruits. Okay, so your set is not these, all of these things together make one set. So what would be our denominator for this problem? If you said 10, then you are correct. Because to get the denominator, we need to know the total number of fruits. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 fruits altogether. Now for the numerator, we just need to figure out, well, the first question says, what fraction are raspberries? So we just need to count the raspberries, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6/10 are raspberries. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/10 are oranges. That's how you find fractions of a set. Now, we're going to try this with number stories. Okay, a lot of times when you're doing these problems, you want to think about just writing a number. Remember all of your answers. If the question says what fraction did something or what fraction, then you need to make sure your answer is in fraction form. Okay, that's the big change thinking about these number stories. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, so let's try this. There are 6 birds in a tree and 1 flew away. What fraction flew away? All right, that's our first question. So we know we have 6 birds and we knew 1 flew away. Our question is, what fraction flew away? So remember, on a number or on a fraction, the bottom number is your total and the top number is what you have, whatever the question is asking. So let's see. We have 6 birds in all. 1 flew away. So 1/6 of the birds flew away. And then my next question is, what fraction of the birds stayed? So I'm not going to change my denominator. My denominator is always the same because I didn't change the total number of birds. I have 6 birds, and if 1 flew away, how many stayed? Well, you just take 6 minus 1, so 5. 5/6 of the birds stayed. Remember, my answer should be in fraction form because it says what fraction. All right, let's try another one. Susan shared 16 stickers equally with her friend. What fraction did each person get? So let's think about what we know. We know our question, what fraction did each person get? I know my answer is going to be in fraction form. I know that I have 16 stickers and she shared them equally. But I'm missing who did she share them with? So what fraction did each person get? How many people are sharing them? Hopefully you said 2 because you have Susan, which is 1 person, and her friend, which is another person. So there are 2 people altogether. Okay, so we have 16 stickers and we're sharing them with 2 people. So let's think about that. What fraction would each person get? There's 2 different ways you could do this. You may have let's think about, if I have 16 stickers total, let's start with this. I know my bottom number is going to be 16. Now, if I share them equally with 2 people, I need to know how many stickers each person got. I can just say, oh, I have 16 and I'm dividing it by 2 people. I know the answer to that. Or I can say, all right, here's my 2 people and my 2 circles. Let's share them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Each person got 8 stickers, which would be 8/16 of the stickers. Or you may have directly thought at the beginning, well, if I have 16 stickers and I'm sharing them with 2 people, each person got half the stickers. So both of these are equivalent fractions. So they would both be considered right answers because they're equal. All right, last one. Troy and Camille each have 8 pencils. 2/8 of Troy's pencils are broken and 6/8 of Camille's pencils are broken. Who has fewer broken pencils? All right, so let's look what our question is asking. Who has fewer broken pencils? All right, I'm going to box who because that tells me my answer is not going to be a fraction. It is going to be a name. When I see who, I think of name. So I have 8 pencils altogether. 2/8 of Troy's are broken and 6/8 of Camille's are broken. Who has fewer broken pencils? So this time I'm just comparing fractions. So I have Troy is 2/8 versus Camille is 6/8. And I want to know who has fewer broken pencils. So which one is less? Well, my denominator is the same. And this tells me that Troy has 2 pencils that are broken and Camille has 6 pencils that are broken. So 2/8 is less than 6/8. So the answer should be a name, which is Troy. We probably should have boxed this word fewer too, because you're looking who has the least amount of broken pencils. Okay, so today you're going to do some work and submit it onto Seesaw. So in your math journal, page 249 and 250. And then if you need some extra practice, there's another home link page that I looked up and it's pretty good. It's page 265 in your home link book. That is optional, but if you need some extra practice with these fractions, you can go ahead and work on page 265 in your home link book. All right, thanks for listening.